if we put one good, nice building, instead of everything tore up downtown is sad. We got to go 20 miles to Winrock. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Will you get visited people thinking over?
Do you think they should make it into a house?
Not really. That's bad.
You'd rather see it as what?
As a business.
What kind of business?
Like a Woolworth store, whatever, some kind of store like that, that have groceries, clothes. You know, we got those kind of stores.
Right.
Don't you think a big place like this would just fit? You know? I know I'm talking terrible. But a place for the homeless is wonderful. I'm not against that. But you know, it brings widows. There's not enough men. Girls is exciting. And men see beautiful girls around. They get excited. They stop and there's more babies. Will you please listen?
Right.
I'm a Christian woman. I'm an old-fashioned woman. And I've had a lot of experience because I've cleaned homes from state to state for about 30 years. Homes, black, white, people. Met all kinds of people. Lovely people. They make a lot of money. But I bought a home, honest. I've been married twice. Got 2 children, 1 grown daughter and 1 grandson. He don't live at all. But think that over.
Well, thank you very much.
Woolworth or whatever those names, something like that.
It's nice to come back to these proud red brick halls of points and endless talk, of books and lines and dead languages and things that don't really matter. I thought that things couldn't get much worse when I finally walked out these doors, away from the homework, strict teachers and grades, and things that don't really matter. I got a taste of life and learned the ways of men, and tasted the bitterness of hate and those things that really matter. So, now I'm back to these old red brick halls and the stories that they tell of men long gone, ideas and songs and things that don't really matter. Auguste Rodin, the French impressionistic sculptor, posed the question, what is more beautiful than a beautiful thing? The answer was, the ruins of a beautiful thing. And indeed, I am awed by the haunting beauty of this deserted structure. What is it about neglected buildings, abandoned runways, overgrown railroad tracks, and eroding monuments that excite my imagination? When I ascend these ancient steps, I experience emotions similar to those at Chaco Canyon when my feet fell naturally into the impressions left by centuries of Anasazi Indians. Look closely now. You can actually see the imprint of generations of high school students as they walked up and down these steps. My name is Chuck Reuben, and during the next half hour, you and I will take a tour through the decaying campus of old Albuquerque High School. Located downtown at the intersection of Central and Broadway, these Gothic revival structures were built between 1914 and 1940. It was the only high school in Albuquerque until 1949 and continued serving the community until 1978, when it was abandoned by the city and sold to the private sector. The city of Albuquerque is now in the process of deciding its fate. Will they buy it back and renovate the buildings, or will they simply condemn and demolish it? As members of a democratic society, the fate of this old complex of buildings is entirely in your hands. Our elected officials are eagerly waiting to hear from you. I did not go to school here, but when I walk through these corridors, I somehow feel like I did. Come, let's check out the place together, and while we do, I will share with you my memories of high school. high school, my English teachers were my favorite heroes. Erickson, Leafblad, Munsky, O'Neill, Massover, Ross, Boone, and Eaton, their names should be as immortal as the great writers they shared with us. They were unselfish. They were always willing to give me whatever I needed, be it extra help, moral support, a critic for my stories, or simply a ride home after I missed the bus. And it was in a classroom like this where I spent some of my most treasured hours. My English teachers did not really believe in grades. Oh, they assigned them because that was part of their job. But for the most part, grading was pretty subjective. I mean, after you get beyond the intransitive verbs and dangling participles into great books like Catcher in the Rye or Lord of the Flies, it gets downright difficult to assign a grade. There are no right or wrong answers anymore. A student was judged according to his ability and enthusiasm. If we tried as hard as we possibly could, we got an A. And in order to understand our abilities, my English teachers had shown understanding, concern, and great wisdom. As a result, we not only became outstanding scholars with a reverential respect for the power of words, but we also became better people. But although life in the classroom was both delightful and edifying, it was in the library where my mind really found a place to call home. Open your eyes and look at this place, a Gothic building fallen into disgrace. Tell me now, what do you see? Do you see a legacy of Albuquerque's past, an ailing patient to be restored to life? Or do you see an awful blight obstructing growth and urban foresight? Now that you have rejected, neglected, and sold this place, now that you have gauged its potential, zoned its boundaries, taxed its limits, and fenced it in, and now that you have sheepishly returned and wish to decide her final fate, I ask you, open your eyes and look at this place.
Open your eyes and look at this place.
Elections for school offices are going on now, and the walls of the library are covered with posters that are full of campaign slogans. Vote for me, I'm the one for president, are the most commonly used headlines. Although I must say my favorite poster read, if you don't vote for me, nobody will. Today, my very first article came out in the school newspaper. Neatly typeset with a byline to boot. I received quite a bit of congratulations on it. I swear I was walking on air for hours. But then I came down to earth. You see, in the article I have a quote in which a candidate criticized the administration as being inefficient. After the story was printed, the candidate came up to me and said I had quoted her incorrectly and out of context. Oh well, that's showbiz. Today in geometry, my teacher, Mr. Swearingen, walked up to my desk and grabbed my diary, which I happened to be writing in at the time. Naturally, because of the enormous amount of highly sensitive information that was in it, I boldly seized it back. A small battle ensued and I lost. That's 3 strikes, he said. A creepy feeling ran down my spine, and I felt terribly embarrassed. 3 times before he had caught me in the act of writing in my journal and not paying attention to him. He said to me, "I hate to see an A student getting C's in class because he does not want to pay attention to the work." And then he handed it back to me, unmolested. After he issued his warning, I felt proud that I had a teacher who was so concerned about my future. And I guess I'll try to devote more time to schoolwork when I'm in class, but listen. Here's the little gem I wrote today in math class when Mr. Swearingen wasn't looking. "I live in a sailboat on the sea. The world is a lock, and I am its key. The wounds of my past I have learned to mend. Every city is my home. Every man is my friend." The drum major of the high school band. I'm glorified and slandered, I suppose, every time I go out on the football field as the PA thunders, "And now the Highland Park High School Marching Band, under the field direction of Charles Tweety Reuben." I love to lead the band. The drum major controls all their movements. Not only can he do everything a conductor can do, but he can also make them march. I love to get in front of a 56-piece band, raise my baton, blow my whistle 4 times, and conduct them through some spirited piece of music. Last week, I led the band in a practice for the Memorial Day Parade. When we practiced, we marched around the parking lot. Up and down, back and forth, that's all we did. After a while, it got old. So Mr. Yonker, the music director, told me to march off the parking lot and down a neighborhood street. It wasn't much of a bad idea either. Our neighbors seemed to enjoy it. I'm sure they considered it odd to see 56 school kids marching around in civilian clothes playing Semper Fidelis and Washington Post. But I remembered the words of my teacher who said, "If you are marching down a street and there is a crowd of people on it, play!" So when I saw those 3 people lined in front of their homes with eager faces, I gave them what they wanted. As drum major, I always took it upon myself to politely ask the drum section to play their cadence slowly so we unathletic types could keep up. It got so damn hot in those uniforms. But tradition always prevailed, and by the time we were done with the parade, we were marching at a sweltering pace. And there was nothing I could do about it. The drum section had usurped my power, leaving me no more than a defenseless puppet dictator. here we are in the gymnasium of the old Albuquerque High School. From this place I see them all, young and old, passing the ball. Anger, jealousy, fights of all sorts are settled in time on the basketball court. They welcome my visit. The game's 21. They play to win, and we have lots of fun. I may get injured. I may even shed blood, but it's a red badge of courage, and it's honor I've won. The siren screams. It's the end of the first quarter. The score is tied 12-12. 10 young men and 2 old men are running back and forth in the rectangle which is set before me. The 10 young men dribble a basketball from one court to the other. Each team tries to get their ball in the opponent's basket. 2 old men try to keep up with the boys and blow their whistle when a boy violates a rule of the game. When we ride home, we will be jubilant if we win and sour if we lose. Any way it goes, we will raise our voices high and sing the old school song. The reason I come to these games is because I'm in the pep band. I play my baritone saxophone with the rest of the band. It is my emphatic belief that all the people in the stands come to hear the pep band play. If the band did not show up one day, then there would be no spectators. Here, allow me to demonstrate. I should say something about my gym teacher, Mr. Barker. Under his guidance, I set a school record, the only school record I have ever held in my life. I set a record in the frog stand. The frog stand is an exercise which involves holding the position of a frog before it leaps. Allow me to demonstrate. But take note, the record for the frog stand was 1 minute and 11 seconds. I went for 1 minute and 13 seconds before I collapsed. I will now demonstrate the frog stand. And so it goes. After I set the record, Mr. Barker yelled to me, "Attaboy, Charlie!" I'm not a very strong person. I devote most of my energies towards school, using whatever is left over for reading books and writing poetry. I guess an academic schedule never gave anybody muscles. It certainly has never made me physically strong. But my academic subjects have given me something else, that being a strong and determined will. I figure I can do anything if I set my mind to it. Though my lungs may be bursting, my heart pumping madly, my throat filled with mucus so that I cannot breathe, and my eyes burning with the sweat from my forehead, I can always hold on. And when my gym teacher made me run the mile, I ran like the wind, and in the distance, as I would finish 5th or 6th place, I could hear Mr. Barker bellow, "Attaboy, Charlie!" To this day, I can hear his voice encouraging me in the distance whenever I take on a difficult project. Yes, this old high school does bring back fond memories of my school days. What does it do for you? And nostalgia aside, what is to be done with this decaying edifice? For my part, I would like to see what can be salvaged of this monolith return to its former architectural splendor. Instead of becoming a shopping mall or office building, I would like to see it return directly to the people of Albuquerque. Return to the Boy and Girl Scouts, the big brother and big sisters, the aspiring artists, poets, writers, musicians, chess players, ballet dancers, and athletes of this town. It should be a gathering place for those who wish to better our town by enriching it with their talent and energy. The best use of this property would be for the city to invest in its talented people by giving them a place to discover their abilities and share them with others. That was the original intent of this structure, and it should continue to be its primary purpose. And like the phoenix of Greek mythology, old Albuquerque High will rise from the ashes of neglect and abuse and assume its place as a center of self-discovery. Thank you for joining me on this tour of old Albuquerque High School. If you want more information on how to save this old school, please contact the people that are displayed on your screen. Write or call the mayor and your city councilman. They are eagerly waiting to hear your ideas and act upon your wishes. The time for action is now. Tomorrow may be too late. What's your name?
Katie Calloway. I live.
Hecha por y para la gente de Albuquerque.